Welcome to another episode of Inspiring Interviews. I am your host, Irene Kachel, and I'm so thrilled to speak with Cindy today. And I love this subject so much. And so, this is the hidden forces that stop you from manifesting all the money you desire. Show me the money. I love it so much. So, I mean, so I can't wait to see how you your thoughts about money and manifesting it. And so please, Cindy, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you
Tell
so
us,
much.
who are you?
Thank you so much. I mean, I'm so happy to be here with you. I just love all of the time that we get to spend together. So I'm Cindy Briolotta, and I help transformational entrepreneurs, specifically hypnotists, coaches, and healers, to thrive in business. And my power is helping people to break through their money and success blocks.
Amen. I love that. I love that so much. You know that, but I'm so intrigued with your ways because, like, you've got a money map. Is
Mhm.
that right?
Yep,
So
and
let's
we'll talk
let's start
about
at
that.
the beginning. Just like, what brought you here? What even brought you to coaching and then coaching business owners on this whole money thing? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so specifically what brought me to money, the money subject, right? I've been coaching for 25 years. Specifically what brought me to the money topic was really my own money journey because this is not surprising, right? I grew up with parents who lived through the Depression. So you can imagine what the paradigm, the conversation around money was where I grew up. It was all lack and scarcity, and you work really hard and you never get ahead. And, all of that, right? There's like lack. There's never enough, all of that. So that was my own money history. And so naturally, as we'll uncover today, naturally, I was manifesting my own money in a way that wasn't that resourceful. So I really started the money journey to solve my own problem, right? And then, which I think is not that unusual for coaches. I think we coach what we needed to heal for ourselves. So
Agreed. That's my story for sure.
exactly,
Parents
right?
were very poor, worked
Yep,
very hard for money. So I
yep,
took that on. And when money became easy, all of a sudden it was gone, laid off 5 times.
yeah,
Because it's
yes,
like, why is this so easy? Now, this is subconsciously happening. I didn't realize it until the fifth time. So,
exactly,
so interesting, right? And
yeah.
we have that same thing in common that, of course, we go through what we're going to teach. So I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No,
Mhm.
exactly, because that
Yeah.
is literally exactly what we're going to talk about today during our time. Yeah,
And how all of that works. Yeah.
all
It's
that.
so interesting, right? And then we wonder why these things are happening. Why is it happening to me? No, this
It's
is
so
happening.
baffling. It's so
So,
baffling. I mean, and I'm gonna talk about today why this
hey,
is so baffling, right?
yeah.
So then, so I went on my own money journey and I learned about all the stuff we're going to talk about today. And then in working with my clients, right? My clients are the most beautiful people who are currently on our planet, right? They're healers. They want to change the world. They want to help people to just live their best life, right? And they're like, that's why they're here. They're here to transform, to make this world a better place. And they're struggling and they can't get themselves to put themselves out there. They can't charge for their services. They can't ask for the value of the service. And I thought, you know what? Just me, right? I really
Yeah.
need to be helping these beautiful, beautiful souls to thrive, not survive, but thrive,
Yeah,
right?
I love
Because I have made it part of my mission to change the money paradigm on this planet. I want to get money into the hands of the people who are going to do the most good with it. And that's
Yes.
why I do this work. And plus, I mean, you'll see it doesn't feel that focused when you do, but this work is like just so much fun. And because money is so interconnected with everything else in our lives, when you transform your money, you transform your whole life.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you're like the focus is the healers because of those
Mhm.
gifts. This is just natural to who I am. Sometimes it's hard to charge for that versus electrician. I spent so many hours doing a thing and now you pay me, it
Mhm.
feels different where it's not. So
Totally.
yeah, I love that. And this is gonna go for everybody though. Like it does
Yeah,
really apply to,
they do.
but there is, yeah, for sure. Okay, so money map. Can we get into the money map? Like, what is that?
Can we back up from
Oh
that
yeah,
first? Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So, because we'll definitely get to that, but something that is really common in like the whole, because I'm all about the manifesting too, Irene, right? And something that's really common in the manifesting world is don't focus on money, just focus on the thing, right? Like and I've heard teachers say this. You don't want the money itself. Like, what is money? You want the thing that money is going to buy, right? So this one stuff that we don't want. What? I don't know. Look that over here. Oh, like, oh, look over there. Focus
yeah.
on the thing, the real thing that you want. It's not money, right? And so I don't follow that path for two reasons. One is it seems very cumbersome to me. So, like, what if I want a house and a car and a vacation? Do I have to really focus on each one of those separately? And wait, am I allowed to focus? Like, can I manifest two things at once? Like, or do I just have to do one at a time? That, whew, that just
Yes,
way too much work for me. It's way
yes,
work for me. So, if I focus on manifesting money and I manifest a great, lovely abundance of money, then whatever I want, whenever I want, right? So that's one reason. The second reason is even more important because at some point, we have to deal directly with money. Money is the agreed upon mechanism of exchange in this place and time. It wasn't always so and probably will not be so sometime in the future. But right here, right
knows
now,
with the economy right now and with everything changing, like who knows what it's
it's
gonna.
like, well, that's true. We don't know what is going to be in the future, but right here, right now,
Yes, yes,
like money's in our face every
yeah,
day, right?
yes.
And it just so happens, as we will see, that we have a lot, I mean, a lot of emotions and beliefs in our money, programmed into our money that came from our earliest experiences with money in our
Mhm.
in our family of origin, and we'll talk about that too.
Yeah.
So we've got all these
Yeah,
emotions.
in the DNA, in literally with
Yes, I really want to talk about that too. Yes,
yeah, okay.
literally DNA,
There's so
right?
much to talk about. Yeah, okay.
So we have all these emotions and beliefs in our money that came from our earliest programming and even from what we call money traumas. In addition to that, we've ascribed all these meanings to money. So, like, we think our money has something to do with our self. How crazy is
Mm,
that? Money has become a metaphor for our personal power. So, like, how much power are we allowed to even have in this world, right? So, once we like really heal our money, that can just be a phenomenal vehicle for our own personal growth.
yes.
So that's
Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting how you're talking about like splitting it all up and now we've got splitting our focus and when you're wanting to manifest anything, it's really about being laser focused and knowing and trust like that is going to show up. You know and trust that. And a resource is definitely the money is definitely a resource that we need as humans. Like we need it. We need money.
exactly. We need
Yeah, and with that comes freedom, all kinds of freedom. So yeah, yeah. So that is really interesting, and we've just taken it all on. So what's next? So how do you even know what your like our subconscious, like how do we even know what's because I didn't know that I had to work hard for my money. Like it's being
Mhm.
intentional, right? Like actually going there. Let's
Right.
figure out. So maybe
Yeah.
like what do
Yeah.
you do?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're gonna get there for sure,
Okay.
right? So, like people who are really trying to manifest money, right? Like, try, right? And if you get like check out YouTube and you'll see like all of these videos about manifesting money, right? And then if you look at the comments, it's like, oh, I'm so broke. I wish that I'm and I said, oh my God, I need to feed my family, right? This is like what you're seeing here, right? And so like, why is it so hard to manifest money? Why? It's because of the hidden forces, because of the title of this video, because of the hidden forces that are preventing us from getting what we say we want, right? So they're doing all the things, right? They're visualizing, they're repeating affirmations, right?
Yes.
I'm rich beyond my wildest dreams. No. Right? So they're doing all of that. And that's great. That is great, right? I'm not saying don't do that, but the truth is that reality does not respond to these visions and these affirmations. It responds to our vibration. It responds to really our essence. Who are we being? Who are we being?
Yes.
So, in order to manifest anything, doesn't matter, including money, we have to be in vibrational resonance, energetic resonance with it, right? And when it comes to money, unfortunately, most people are not in resonance with what they desire. They're driven by their unconscious, I should say, our unconscious programming, our
Yeah.
money paradigm, and that creates a money set point for us. So that's what we're dealing with. We have a money paradigm.
Yeah.
So what money paradigm? Where is this from? Don't think it will surprise you when I say that it comes from our family of origin. That's where we get it, right? Our families, you and I both mentioned at the beginning of the show, the paradigm, the soup that we were in when we were growing up, right? Scarcity, lack, work hard, but still you never get ahead. You work hard and then you die, right? That's
Right.
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 Um, so our families, our story, I mean, they are our individual stories, but they're not that different from many, many, many stories out there, right? So our families had a certain way that they operated around money. And through repeated exposure to that way of being, when we were unfortunately too young to reason for ourselves, right? Like we did not, when we were, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, we did not have the capacity to say abundance is everywhere. We didn't know that. All we knew was money's really hard, man. Money's really, really hard, right? And then
Yeah. Oh, I can't have the toy because it costs too much money. We don't,
money
whatever
doesn't
the
grow on
that grow
trees.
does grow on trees, all the things, and you need money. It's like, what's money? Like, well, no, we need this thing called money in order to get all of these gifts or, whatever. Go to Disneyland, go to, on the trips and stuff. Everybody else is like, yeah, yeah.
Exactly, right? And our families also had a characteristic way of feeling around money. So there was a feeling tone in the house as well. And we were just sponges. So we just
Yes.
tone. and made it our own, right? So then, before there was anything we could possibly do to counteract this, we developed these feelings and beliefs and even vows that drive right now, today, how we behave in relation to money. So, you and I have talked about a little bit about our own paradigms. If the listener, if you want to just get a little glimpse of your money paradigm right now, just think back to how your parents felt in general about money. What was going on around the bills, the finances? What was the general feeling in your house about money? Was there anxiety? Sometimes even panic? Was there fear? Was there this creates a really interesting dynamic. Was there a difference between the parents? Like, was one parent all about saving and you know, keeping it, and the other like, let's just spend money and have fun, right? So therefore, was there conflict around money? Was there fighting? And
Yeah.
what did your parents say about people who are wealthy? I know that the wealthy were not regarded very highly in my family.
Right.
Really,
Right. Well, and it goes both ways because I've worked with clients that grew up with a lot of money and they
yes,
were self-conscious about that. And they felt like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, oh, I don't have it. And they hid from that. They
yes,
didn't want to say it. So it was kind of the opposite for
yeah,
them. It's still 'cause so much like this money thing doesn't even whether you have it or not, doesn't matter. It's how we feel
sure,
about it or the paradigm that you're
yeah.
talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, sometimes in wealthy families, you have all the things, but there's a price, right? It comes with control sometimes, right? Like,
Yeah.
sure, we'll like pay for everything for you, but you will be who we choose for you to be, not who
Yes.
you freely like, do not like, you're not going to express necessarily your true self in the world because, our money, our rules, right? So
Yes,
this is
yes.
just, this is not just about like broke people. This is about like we all um, have our own money paradigm, right?
Mhm.
And then, like in childhood, for people who didn't have money, did you have a feeling that you weren't really safe and secure?
Mm.
Because if you weren't safe and secure, that's going to show up in your money today. Today, that's going to show up in your
Yeah.
money, right? So, and obviously this is all unconscious, right? So our parents' paradigm, how they felt about money and debt, and had debt, whether they had savings, whether there was safety in the house, that creates an unconscious overlay inside us and actually becomes our money set point. And you
Mhm.
think, and you mentioned this earlier, Irene, so I want to expand on this. So like you might think like, this doesn't make any sense, right? Like consciously, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why in the world would we take on our family's dysfunctional patterns? And it's because our unconscious mind has one job. The prime directive of our unconscious mind is to survive. That's it.
Keep us safe. Right.
Survive.
Mhm.
Survive.
Yeah.
Not thrive, not be happy, not feel fulfilled. Nope. Survive. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Right. And you mentioned our DNA, right? And yes, the drive to survive, it's wired in us. It's in our DNA. It's wired in our brains. And this force, this survival force, it is incredibly strong. It is the strongest force in our lives. It is, right? And so
Yeah.
what does that have to do with anything? Right? Like, why does that matter? It matters because for humans, probably for many other animals as well, but for humans, it's just more pronounced. Being accepted in our families is a matter of survival. Literally, literally. Humans mature very slowly. It takes us many, not one, but many years. Some people would say decades, but they're exactly many, many years to become self-sufficient, to be able to survive on our own if we were like left in the forest, right? So
Mhm.
this means that if we are rejected by our family, we will die. Like this is not like, oh my God, I feel like I'm gonna die. No, this is you're gonna die. And we see this, like tragically, we see this in our culture sometimes. Like people just abandon a baby in a garbage pail, right?
Yeah.
This baby does not survive, right? So this is what's weird. Oh my God, if they abandon me, I will die, right? Now
Yeah.
we're not thinking this consciously. We have no idea that this is going on, but it's going on at the deepest, deepest, deepest level of our
Yeah.
being. That's what's in there, right? So we better stay in their paradigm, right? We better
Right. To
because
survive. If you want to
just
survive. Right.
right. You want to survive, then you gotta be one of them, right?
Yeah.
So yes, of course, this is totally, I mean, deeply, deeply unconscious. So it's not logical, it's not rational. And that's why, like we talked about this earlier too, that's why so often we are completely baffled by the way that we behave when it comes to money and the outcomes that we manifest. Right? I mean, that's like, that's why this is like, what am I doing? And what am I doing over and over and over? Like, oh my God, I did that already. And I thought I learned that lesson. And here I am doing it again. What's happening? This is what's happening.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, money is a very interesting creature because it does make people do despicable things. And I know too many people, families have broken up arguing over
Ah,
this thing
yeah.
called money. And it's all, yeah, I don't get it. I really don't get it because I could never not be cool with my siblings and like take all the money. But I get it. It's a survival thing. Like I get it because again,
Mhm.
laid off 5 times in the first, like it's scary. Like,
Yeah.
well, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
And you figure it out.
Hmm.
And and what's the figuring out? So where do we start? You're talking about the subconscious stuff? Is that
Yeah.
where it
Yes.
starts?
Yes. So now let's just do a little exercise that
Okay.
is going to reveal some of what's going on under the surface so that we can actually see how money it works in our nervous systems. And as you mentioned earlier, this is called the money map. And this comes from the genius mind of Margaret Lynch Renee. And this
Or
is
this
an assessment that
is
shows us our inner
I'm
guide.
ready.
It shows us the arbitrary limit, and it's totally arbitrary, right? Because everyone has a different set point. So it's a totally arbitrary limit that's built in, it's in the wiring. And
Oh,
if you try to go above it, you start to feel really uncomfortable. And then you behave in ways that don't serve you, right? So we have these set points. We hold ourselves to like, holding ourselves to this, and we don't know what we don't even know what they are, but we hold ourselves to them. And even like we're going to find out because we're going to do this exercise. And what we're doing in this exercise is we're thinking about our money. That's what we're doing. We're not touching it, we're just thinking about it, right? So
uh,
when we even think about, trying to go beyond, asking for more, that creates all kinds of interesting things inside us: self doubt, fear, anxiety, imposter syndrome. How often do we see this? A feeling of not being ready. Oh, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. A feeling of not deserving, right? And then, of course, we find a way to sabotage our progress one way or the other.
right.
And this is
Help. Help. How do we get past that?
right. Yeah. And we'll
That
talk about that. Yeah.
set
We'll talk
point.
about that at the end, too.
I want
Right.
all the things. I want the map.
Yep.
Cindy.
Yeah, we're doing it, right? And so just before we dive really into the map and just get into the nitty gritty, I just want to mention that there are a number of things that happen, just so you're prepared. There are a number of things that happen when we tune into our money. And so first of all, there's an immediate set of feelings that come up around our money. And for many people, these are not enjoyable feelings. And
Mm,
we don't want to experience these things.
right. Good point. Yes.
So the next thing is we engage in avoidant behavior. careers. We
Mm,
don't set goals. We don't look at our finances. We don't do a good job managing our money. And
yeah.
sometimes these feelings are so intense that we just have to soothe them. We have to, right? Like soothe it or bust, right? And more frequently than not, we do that in maladaptive ways, including retail therapy. We go shopping, right?
Yes.
Retail therapy
Yes.
is something, it's really a thing, right? And it's usually extremely counterproductive. So we have these feelings that come up that we don't like, and we want to avoid the feelings. So we engage in these avoidant behaviors. And the third thing that happens is have some lovely self-talk, right? There are things that we say to ourselves that are usually quite negative and sometimes just like beyond horribly mean and awful, right? And it's like, what is wrong with me? How could I be so stupid?
Yes.
I am such a loser. So these are things I have heard and possibly even said.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So
Mhm.
obviously this is really unhelpful and it only makes things worse, right? And then the fourth thing that could come up for us when we look at our money, we might actually discover past events that were really painful, like things that happened in our lives, in our family, or in our own adult life, where we could say, if only that thing hadn't happened, I would be in such a different place with my money. All right. Oh, if only, oh, that thing, if only that hadn't happened. And we call those our financial trauma, right? So we've got our feelings, our avoidant behaviors, our negative self talk, and maybe and likely even some traumas, right? And then the fifth thing that is happening underneath the surface is there's our neurobiology underneath all of this.
Yeah.
So when you think about a certain aspect of your money and you have an emotional response like anxiety, sadness, loss, anger, what happens is that triggers the stress response in our nervous system. It actually triggers our fight or flight response.
Yeah.
And fight or flight has another component to it, and that is the freeze response. And
Mhm.
so when we're dealing with money and the anxiety around it, the freeze response is really very common. So we feel like there's not, this is like, I can't, there's nothing I can do about this. I can't cope. We feel powerless. So we do nothing, right? Because we're frozen. I can't move on, right? And when we're chronically stressed about money, and usually this is a chronic issue, right? That actually interferes with our brain's dopamine reward system. So
Mm,
dopamine is the neurotransmitter, the motivation neurotransmitter. It really helps our brain to stay on task, to be laser focused. You were talking about that earlier, right? When we want to manifest anything, we just got to be focused, right? So it's dope. We need dopamine to maintain that focus and to push through obstacles
mm.
because obstacles are common, right? So we need dopamine to push through obstacles till we get to the end, till the task is done. Because when we get there, there's like this really exciting, happy, pleasurable outcome, and our brains love pleasure for sure, right? But when we're chronically stressed and we're in avoidance, our brain's reward system gets disrupted and we have no motivation when we need it the most.
Yes. Oh my gosh. This is so great because people tend, like you're saying, that negative talk, keep blaming themselves. Why do I keep doing this? Why me? Why do I can't? I'm such a, and I'm this. One, it's not your fault. One, like just know that, I mean, on all the levels that you were talking about, you're normal.
Yeah,
It's okay. But now, moving forward, living with intention, and it's like, get to the map, Cindy. It's like, now you know better. Now it's like, you're okay. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong. what you do you choose going forward? Like, so I love that you're building this, like, just that's why this is all happening. That's the
Mm,
foundation. It's so
right.
good.
Right. Yeah. And I wanted to lay that foundation for that very reason, Irene, because we do blame ourselves. We do. And I want you to see that this isn't your fault, right? This is your own your paradigm that really has you in its grip, and it's your neurobiology, right? It's how we're wired as humans. So yeah, yes, you're normal, and yes, this is not your fault, right? So let's dive into the map. If you want to play along, then get some paper and so
Oh, I'm like,
it turns out that there are 5 types of big money energy, and they each reveal something a little bit different. And so the money map is really, it's a diagnostic tool. It's for us to really let's look under the hood and see what's going on in there, right? So I'm going to go through these 5 money energies one at a time, and we're going to really just take a look at what's going on under the surface of your money. So
oh,
first, start with something fun. Let's talk about debt.
yeah. Yes, that's a big one for people. They get scared and like, oh my
Oh,
God, I'm debt, and how do I get out of and then
yeah,
that's another
yeah,
spinning thing. Yes,
yeah,
debt.
yeah, right. So write down the words "my debt" at the top of a sheet of paper, and then write the currency symbol of the country where you live. Here in the United States, it's the dollar sign, right? Now, and because we're not going to just write numbers, because numbers are abstract, we're going to look at actual dollars, right? So, dollar sign, and then write the total amount of your debt. Now, debt is kind of interesting because if you want to, you can differentiate between what people call bad debt and good debt. I don't use those terms. I call them useful and non-useful, right? But people like in the the general money paradigm, people think there's bad debt and good debt, right? So for example, ask any billionaire and they will tell you that it's very useful to be leveraged, to have debt,
Yes,
right?
of course. Yes.
Use other people, like poor people don't think like this, but rich people do, right? Use other people's money to invest in things. But here's the important part, to invest in things that are actually assets that are going to grow in value over time. So even though that kind of debt is still a bill to pay, if you have a healthier mindset around that, then you won't have negative feelings associated with that kind of debt, what people call good debt, right? Now,
Yes.
debt that isn't useful, right? The other side of that is, well, that's what people call bad debt. It comes from like buying things that decrease in value, like all the stuff in our lives, right? Like I just gotta have the newest version of this phone that I just paid $2,000 for last year, right? That is not useful debt because these things are just depreciating, right? Like, they say your car decreases in value the minute you drive it off the lot, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Forget, right? So these are things that we buy that don't appreciate, they depreciate rather, right? And here's the other place that bad debt can come from. It can come from a financial trauma, like medical bills after an illness or an accident, or from a business that failed, or from some kind of personal betrayal. Now, I know that people outside the United States can't relate to medical debt because they don't go bankrupt because they got sick or injured. But here in the United States, this is a big thing, right?
Thing.
So people have this debt. So go ahead and just write down the number that represents your debt. And, if you're terrified to look at it, like so terrified that you don't even know what the number is, because people got that too, right? Then
Mm.
take your best guess. And I do encourage you to be brave and really look at what's real for you because you can't feel what you can't see, right? So I do recommend that you take a look at what the real thing is, but for now you can just guesstimate, right? So what is the amount of your debt. And by the way, so we're going through these 5 money energies. And so this doesn't mean you're going to have like all of these 5 things in your, like messing up your money, right? Like some people have no debt whatsoever. So this obviously doesn't apply, right? So, there are 5, and maybe you have all 5, and maybe you just have 1 or 2. We'll see, right? So you have your number written down, look at it and own it, say out loud, this is my debt. And just sit with that for a moment and notice what feelings, what emotions come up for you around that, and notice where you feel them in your body and write down those feelings. And I encourage you to do this because, this is right. You're watching this video. This is totally private. There's nobody there to like see your secrets, right? Just do this for yourself, right? So the next thing is, what are you saying to yourself about this debt? What's your self-talk around this? And you'll very likely, as we talked about earlier, hear some self-criticism here, which just makes things worse, right? So capture that, whatever self-talk you're hearing, write it down, right? And we really want to write these things down so that we can, like, we're going to have a map when we're done, right? And then we will know, like, what do we really need to focus on so that we can actually be free in our money, right? And really have what we want.
Yeah.
So does so thinking about the amount in your debt remind you of some situation in the past? So maybe some situation that involved conflict or battle or betrayal, or a time in your life when you never forgave yourself or someone else.
Yeah.
So is there a past event that pops into your mind that you could say about that event, if only this hadn't happened, my debt would not be where it is today? And if you do have a specific event that is massively triggering to your nervous system, because usually when we do have these events, when we think about them, we just, automatically get triggered. We call that a money trauma, a financial trauma, right? It's a painful experience in the past that gets triggered in our nervous system when we think about debt. And then look at that number and finish this sentence. This means I'm.
Nice.
And often what we see in debt, we find a lot of shame, a lot of embarrassment, as well as anxiety, fear, and, thoughts like, this is all my fault. And what if it gets worse? It's worse, right? It's just so much fear, right? Shame, all of this. So if you're experiencing those things, you're not alone.
Right. Yes, that's so good. Yeah, this is amazing. And I was going back to many years ago. I think it was layoff number 4, brand new baby, first house that we purchased. My husband was the stay-at-home parent. It's like, how are we going to get out of this kind of thing? Because what I put down right now today is like, I mean, my debt supports me. It's complete. It's a 180 from
Yes.
waking up every single morning in a panic of the
Yes.
debt.
Yes. Yes.
It's such a
Yes.
different feeling about, no, I'm strategic and it supports me. I love it.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what happens, Irene. Like you're talking about the after picture, right? That's what happens when you heal this, right? I mean, this doesn't mean like just because you heal your debt, that doesn't mean you will never have debt again. You might choose to take on debt again, but it will not activate your nervous system in this way that like first thing in the morning panic, or even waking up at 3 a.m. like,
Yes.
sometimes I hear this from clients,
That was
right?
me.
Like, Cindy, I can't sleep at night. Oh, this wakes me up at 3 o'clock in the morning and then I can't get back to sleep.
Yes.
I know. I get it. Right?
Yes.
So, all right. So now let's move on to the second type of money, savings. So once again, you want to write down my savings, the currency symbol, and write down the amount of savings that you have right now. And if it's zero, then write zero, right? So when you look at that number, what are the feelings that immediately come up? So write down those feelings. And again, we're going to be going through the same steps for each of these kinds of money. What's the main thing that you say in your head when you look at this number? And when you look at your savings, if it feels true, you can say this out loud, say, it's not enough. And when you say it's not enough and that feels true, what additional feelings come up for you, and where are those feelings in your body? And for most people, savings represents a sense of safety and security. So savings are a metaphor for how safe we feel in the world. And, experts tell us that we should have at least 3 months, but better 6 months worth of our monthly expenses in our savings, so we can be safe, right? So if you don't have that much, if you don't have enough, if it feels like it's not enough, then try this on. Say, the truth is, I don't feel safe. And see if that feels true for you. And then again, we're just gonna dive to see if there's any traumas in there. Does thinking about and just noticing the amount of savings in your account remind you of something that happened in the past? Usually savings has to do with an incident that involved great loss or disappointment, or just some feeling of losing safety or security. And that's, again, is a financial trauma where you think, if only that hadn't happened, I would be so much further along in my savings, in this part of my money. So if you have an event like that, go ahead and write it down. Let's just get this all out, right?
I want to say this again, Cindy. Like, I know people are watching. Like, I hope you're really doing the work. I mean, I'm doing it for myself also, just to see. This is not just a one and done either. Because when you get to the
Correct.
next level, like this is brilliant. And
Yes.
everybody should be doing it at all levels of wherever they're
Yeah.
at. So I really just
Yeah.
want to say it again. If you're not doing it, take a moment, either rewind or
Yeah.
whatever, and really do it.
Do
Because
it.
you're gonna thank yourself, thank Cindy for this. It's gonna change your life for sure.
Right.
This is the
Right.
first step. So okay, sorry.
Do this. Yes, do it.
Yeah.
So savings often has to do with loss in our lives. Could be the loss of a parent, somehow loss of security, loss of an inheritance, a divorce maybe that ended, with a lot of conflict and one person being really wrong. So we store loss in our savings, right? And so now again, we're just doing the same process with each kind of money. Look at the savings, your savings amount, and finish this sentence. This means I'm what? All right. So next we've got income. This is also fun. So again, on a sheet of paper, write my income and the currency symbol, and write the amount of your current monthly income. So we focus on monthly rather than annual because usually we have a good idea, or some idea at least, of our monthly expenses, right? So we can weigh our monthly income against our monthly expenses and see how that feels for us, right? So again, here's your monthly income. Look at that number, and what are the feelings that come up when you look at that number? So just write down the feelings, and again, this is totally private. It's just for you. No one's ever going to see this or know this, right? You can, like, this is a gift that you can give yourself right now. So what's coming up, right? And if this
question, about like, because I'm thinking about income, and it's like it's good. It's this number, and for all of this, and more. Like this is it, but I'm ready for more because there's that
Right.
fine line between I'm good, but I want more too. Like it's good
Hmm.
for now, but and maybe you're gonna get to that later, but I'm
Yeah, we're going to get to that because our next category is going to be income goals, right?
oh
So right now, yeah, you got it, Irene. Right now, we're talking, we're focusing on income, but the very next
yeah,
thing,
okay, okay, good.
income goals, right? And so I know this isn't true for you, Irene, but for some of our audience, it may be true. So if when you look at that number, say out loud, it's never enough. And then just rate how true that feels for you on a scale of 0 to 10. And if that feels true for you, then what are the feelings that that brings up, right? Saying, oh, this is my income. It's never enough, right? And so many of us grew up with that. It's never enough thing.
Great.
So many of us, right?
Yes.
Yes, this is super, super common, right? And then again, what's the main thing you say in your head when you look at this number? What's your self-talk around your income, right? And then just thinking about the amount that you're earning and how hard you work for it, because this is a very important part of income, not just the number, but how hard you work for it. Does it remind you of any financial situations that you or your parents had around money? So if this is bringing up some really specific memory, like, oh, and what's really fascinating about this work is that sometimes things, when we really do it, like when we're in it, when we're doing it, sometimes events from our lives come up and we think, I had no idea that that had anything to do with money because it doesn't necessarily seem related,
Right.
but it
Right,
is.
like you were talking about earlier with the conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's conflict in the home, like what does that have to do with money? But that triggers, oh, I can't have more money because then there's conflict or,
Yes.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah, very interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. Mhm.
Yes. And that's an interesting point, Irene, because the very first time I did an exercise like this, um, what came up for me is a belief around money that I had no idea I had, but it was money destroys families.
I have that.
Holy moly.
Like what? Yes.
Holy moly. What?
Mhm.
So like, what?
How funny. We have kind of the same. Mhm.
Would I want any money? Money destroys families, right? And I was very deep inside me. I had no clue, no clue whatsoever, right? Um,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
People need to do this work.
Yes.
Like do the thing because
Do-
you're going to be surprised when you do, when you actually are intentional with your money
Yes.
and allow the fear and the whatever
Yeah.
feelings are
What?
coming up. Like it's
What?
so important
Yes.
because this thing called money, this resource that we need, um, there's so much there. It's
It's so
really very interesting.
it's so deep. And that's why I love doing this work because it really is so deep and it manifests, just a little bit differently for every person. So it's like endlessly fascinating. So, in terms of the conflict between parents, the difference in styles for parents, I had a client who her mother was really, she wasn't like, she didn't like money. She had a lot of negative, like rich people are bad, whatever. But her father was very achievement and success oriented. Success is good. You guys, you need to be successful. Like, this is great, right? And so the way that manifested for her in her life was just totally fascinating. She was super successful. She made a lot of money. She made high six-figure money, right? But she was broke all the time because she had high six-figure debt. So all of her money that came, like this great money that anybody would like, that's a nice amount of money. Could live on that, right? No, she couldn't live on that money because she had to stay in this paradigm, but it was opposite paradigms, right? So her, she has genius unconscious mind found a way to honor both her mother
Oh.
and her father, right? I mean,
Ah,
like if your
wow.
like if your jaw is not on the floor right now, this is
Yes.
so incredible and so powerful, right?
Yeah.
So getting back to income, traumas that are connected to income are really usually about something that happened to our parents, right? How much
Mm.
they earned, how hard they had to work for their money. Because like there was this, certainly this thing with the depression era parents, right? It's like work, like grind, work hard, like everything you gotta work, like you can nothing can be easy. You gotta work hard for everything, right? And so
Yes.
how hard, like they like are wearing themselves down. You know what I mean? So how hard do they have to work for the money? And maybe, did a parent lose a job? Did they have a business that failed? Right. Or like even in terribly tragic situations, did the primary breadwinner die? Or was there a
Mhm.
divorce? Right. So this deep stuff is such a deep, deep stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like it goes like gets you in the heart, right? So,
Seriously.
right? Oh my God. So once again, look at this income number and say, write down, this means I'm, and what does it mean? Right. And interestingly, when we're looking at income, we're really seeing our basic nervous system wiring about money in general and how much money there is for what we call people like us. So you see your family's paradigm about how much people like us are allowed to have and how hard people like us have to work for our money. And so in your like out is this
Yes.
programming around the nature of money in the world. And it's usually that there's never enough, that money runs out. Not for everybody,
Yeah.
but for people like us.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking at the time. Okay, so we've got 10 minutes ish. Do we have are we running out of time? Speaking of
I'll try to go faster.
okay.
Okay. So let's look at income goals next.
Okay.
So if this is something you haven't thought about before, think about it now. It always really amazes me when I ask clients to tell me what their goals are, as I always do. And so many people just don't mention money at all. They don't mention money. It's just like, oh, I want to impact this many people and how about the money? Right. And then I always ask and I say, well, how much money do you want to make? And they say, oh, I really thought about that. Or I don't really care about.
Yes.
Yes, you do. If you're running a business, you care about the money. Okay.
Yes. You.
So income goal, how much money do you want to bring in every month? An amount that would give you a good life, that would allow you to have choices. And I want to say make it at least double what you're earning right now. And I say at least double because sometimes people are like not even making enough money to survive. So double might just barely get you to survival, right? So we want it to be a nice number, but not like, I've only ever made $10,000, but now I want 10, my goal is $10 million, right? And I'm not saying you can't get to $10 million. I'm just saying if you're trying to leap from 10,000 to 10 million, you're really dissociating from that money. Like you're not grounded in that goal, right? And you just like can't even imagine. It's such a fantasy. You can't even imagine like who you would even have to be able to contain that money, right?
Yes. Okay.
So at least double your current amount of money and what emotions and feelings come up when you think about doubling your income. And finish the sentence. The truth is that's what. So what kind of things do you say to yourself about that? And here's what a lot of people say, and you can say it out loud if it applies to you. That's impossible.
It's not possible. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Or that would probably be really, really hard.
Too hard.
Too
Too
hard.
hard. It's gonna like no, then I'm gonna be too busy. It's gonna take over
Exactly.
my life. That
Exactly.
no.
Exactly. I hear that all the time from clients, Irene. Like, I really would make like to make this amount of money, but I don't really want to work that hard, because they assume that there's some correlation between how hard you work and how much money you have. And it's not. There's really not, right? So when you say that's impossible or that will be too hard, how true does that feel for you on a scale of 0 to 10? And what emotions are the strongest for you when you say that, right?
Mhm.
And here's another fun thing to look at. How would that income goal be viewed by your family? So
Yeah.
again, if there's any underlying belief about people like us and how hard you have to work, like what would your parents say about that kind of money and people like us? And here is something really important to consider. If you made that much money, would you still belong in your family?
Mm,
Right?
I love that people like us. That yeah, it's yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, who do you think you are? Oh, she's uppity and
Exactly.
she's like, all right.
Exactly. And yes, we think if I have that money, people are going to treat me different. They're going to think I'm up. Who do I think I am? Right. And the other thing, oh my God, then they're all going to come to me and want to borrow money from me.
I have to, yeah, you're rich. Why can't
Yeah,
you
exactly.
pay for this?
Exactly. Right. And
Yeah.
then our deserving issues come up. Do
Mm,
we deserve that much money? And this is especially true. This gets triggered if our parents never made a lot of money, never had a lot of money. Like, who am I to deserve what they didn't have? My poor parents, they worked so hard for everything they got. And who am
yeah.
I to deserve? Why would I, above them, deserve to have all this money? Right.
Mhm.
And then self-worth gets mixed up in this as well. And I even see coaches who teach this stuff mix this up, right? They say, charge what you're worth,
Worth.
what you're worth,
I
right?
hate that.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm here to tell you that that's completely impossible, because your worth cannot be expressed in dollars.
Mhm.
It cannot, right?
I'm
And
so glad we're on the same page with that. Yes, I hear that all the time,
I hear it
and
all the
it
time too.
drives me nuts.
No,
Nobody can afford you. Sorry. Your worth, you
yes,
are unlimitedly. Yeah.
exactly,
Okay. Yes.
exactly, right? Exactly, right? And just as an aside, the investment, like what you charge for your services, is meant to be the value of the transformation that you're providing for the client. It's about them and what they're getting out of it. It's not about you, right?
Right.
But we have this all confused and tangled up inside us, right? So income goals tend to show you the value that you place on yourself and the contribution that you bring to the world. What, your time, your energy, your gifts, your skills. So just go ahead and write down what's coming up for you, because you'll thank me later, right? Um,
Yes. Oh,
and the
it's so good.
thing about a goal that feels impossible, right? When we say, oh, I want that, but it's impossible, that's just going to trigger your fear of failure. And you're not going to even want to have that goal. So even though you know it's not possible because other people have done it, and if they can do it, you can do it. If it feels like it's impossible, then that's going to stop you from even wanting to go for it.
Right. Why even bother?
Exactly. Why even bother, right? And it's important to just take a moment to just realize how much is all of this costing you. In this case, it's costing you the ability to at least double your income. So it's costing you money, right? It's costing you money. Um, so yeah, so that's your income goals. So Irene, I was going to talk about the one final type of money, but because we're running low on time, and because this doesn't apply to many people, it's just some people who have that, I'm going to skip over that. But it's called, I know, leave a little mystery. You know what? Y'all have to find and ask me, right? But I'll just let you know that it's called toxic money. And this is money that comes to you like inside a relationship that is toxic, right? So,
Yes.
so that's another kind of money. And not everyone has this, right? Not everyone has this. But
Yeah.
those who do, it's a showstopper. It really is, right? So, so that was like, whew, let's just breathe for 1 second, right? Because I want to unpack this just a little bit, right? You
Mhm.
can see by looking at your money map that when you really look at the money in your life, your nervous system is wired to react with painful emotions and feelings, with limiting beliefs, with hurtful self talk, and maybe there's even some significant traumas that come up for you, right? And maybe, if you've really done this exercise, maybe you're feeling that right now. Maybe you're feeling it. And you might be thinking, that looking at the state of your money is what is making you feel these emotions. But I submit to you that you were wired to feel these feelings and believe these thoughts in your earliest childhood years because of how your family behaved and felt around money. And it is those feelings and thoughts that were wired into you that have
Mm.
created your current money situation. It is not the other way around, right?
Yes. Oh, so good. Okay, so and so people need to work with you because, like, how do you switch this, right? Because then now,
Yeah.
like, getting into this, it's uncovering, and that's all coming out. It's like, fuck. Now what?
Yep.
Now,
Exactly. Exactly. Right. Yes. And now what? Right now, what is, there's good news here, right? Now you know what you need to heal. And you
yeah.
want to directly heal, not just like, oh, let me heal my fear in general. No, heal your money fear. Money, you have to really, like, if you want to get to this, you can't keep like pretending it's not there. You can't keep avoiding it. You got to get it, get it, just go get in the mud and let's heal this, right? And the
Oh,
good news is that you can heal this, right? All of there's nothing
yes.
that is unhealable, right? When you heal these things, your money will change because your behavior around money will change, right? And you've taken a big step today just by being willing to look at this, right? The next step is to work on dismantling these emotions and beliefs and healing the pain around the traumas very, very directly, not in the abstract, in the very specific, right? So you want to address these things directly, get them out of your nervous system, and come
Mm.
to peace with how your with your money situation as it is right now, right? Come to peace. So once you do that, then you're not in fight or flight anymore, right? You're not in freeze. You get all your genius back, right? Your prefrontal cortex, your big, brain can come back online, and you'll have all your brilliance, your genius, your inspiration, your ideas, and your actions lined up with
Mm.
your goal, whether it's a goal for your debt or your savings or your income. So you'll be totally aligned with your goal, right? And now from that place, this is the place for your visualizations and your affirmations to get yourself
Oh,
into that like elevated state around money, right? And that's where miracles can come in, right? Because
yes.
when you are just so totally aligned inside yourself with what you choose around money, then you're broadcasting this clear signal to the universe: abundance, abundance, wealth, riches. And the universe can do its part and bring even more opportunities your way.
Yes. Oh my God. I love that. And I call these miracles, I call them normals. They're
Exactly.
actually they're available to us all the time,
Yes, exactly.
right? So,
Exactly.
oh gosh, so good. So any other last, I don't know, last thoughts, or before, like, people just need to go find you and work with you. That's it. Any, like,
Yeah.
are we good?
Yeah.
We wrap
Yeah.
this up.
Yeah. And like that's what I want to say, because like what I wish for you is that you will heal this, right? I wish for you that you will like take this map and just like take all your courage in your hand and work on healing this so that you can live your dreams. And that's my wish for you.
Nice. Yes. And so people can work with you one-on-one. They can reach out to you. We'll have links and things in the description,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay. Anything else on that? I do have one more question for you though.
In terms of working with me, Jeannie? Or
No, I have a different question for you.
okay, go ahead.
The question is, if we're wrapped up here, the question is, what inspires you? That's all my guests. What or who, whatever it is, what inspires you?
Wow, that's such a great question, Irene. The opportunity to have a big impact in this world and help people change their lives. Like I'm all about live your dreams, love your life. And that's what inspires me, right? Like I wake up every day excited to be gifted, right? Like this is a gift for me, like gifted this ability to help people to transform their lives. And I think I'm here, I'm on a mission, a crazy mission to uplift the life of everyone on planet Earth, right? And so that's what inspires me, like this opportunity to change lives and witness it, because there's nothing more amazing than just being the witness in the room when somebody breaks through a lifetime of limit and then they get to just fully express themselves in the world. And that's just so beautiful.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, I love it. And you get paid well
Oh,
for
and I
that.
get paid like that's bonus. And I get
Yeah.
paid way to do this, right? That's
Yeah. And this is for everybody. You
yeah,
share your gifts, like these healers, the people,
yeah,
like, and or electrician or whatever your gifts are.
yes.
And yeah, and you get paid for it. Okay, one last thing, just to let everybody know, that's real. Your background is
Yeah.
real.
This is not this is not a Zoom background. These are real crystals here. And I get to bathe in their energy all day. And my clients, when I'm working with clients, because I work on Zoom, my clients get to bathe in their energy too when we're working together.
Oh, good. I love it. Well, thank you so much for all of this time. This is such a great conversation. Like, I hope whoever's still here and still listening, they actually did the work and will
I hope so.
continue to come back to this and do it
Yeah,
again and again
yeah,
and really just get deeper with this because yeah, the miracles, the normals are always available to us. And
yeah,
such a great feeling to have this resource we call money supporting you. And I mean, I
yes,
know it is so.
yes, exactly. And I just want to thank you so much, Irene, for creating this opportunity and this space. And this beautiful conversation. As I said at the beginning, I just love spending this time with you and talking about, I think, what is both of our favorite subjects, money. So thank you so much for creating this space. I really appreciate it.
Ditto. Ditto. I love it. Okay. Until next time. Thank you, everyone. Bye.